I find that I disappear down these rabbit holes like compost or, different cover crops and stuff. Ultimately, it was to improve soil health, make us more resilient to weather extremes. That was the main driver, I'd say. Not so much organic versus conventional. It's sort of blurred the edges quite a bit. So I really enjoy it. Like, I enjoy this way of farming. So I'm Andrew Mahon, I'm farm manager at Bromber Estate. I've been here for 18 years this month, actually. We're 840 hectares, North Bedfordshire, very heavy clay, predominantly arable, although we have had livestock grazing around the rotation lately and probably going to feature a bit more going forward. Heavy clay land, so predominantly cereals, lots of different covers, lots of variety coming in that way, lots of diversification. We started, when I came here in 2008, we were very much plough. I introduced Mintill, which was quite a game changer. So we went from ploughing, pressing, power harrowing, and then drilling to sort of a one-pass trio type establishment as well. So we still had a bit of ploughing as well, rotational ploughing. And then 2012 hit, which was probably the wettest harvest I've ever experienced. We were still combining late September. I remember vividly combining oilseed rape, going along in the combine and watching water squirting out from the wheels under the combine, thinking, oh my word, what are we going to do here? And the farm was a mess. There was ruts everywhere. It was just horrendous. We had piles of grain that were absolute rubbish, no quality, massive drop in yields, and the soils were destroyed on the farm, and it was very stressful. And it was kind of, where do we go from here? Because is this the norm, or is this just a one-off? We can't carry on farming like this. This isn't very sustainable. What can we do to be different, to be more resilient? So I started looking around, and then I kind of thought, well, yeah, actually, maybe less is more. And so I knew we couldn't sort of go cold turkey straight into direct drilling after 2012 harvest. The soils were in bad nick. So we got ourselves sort of established, did a bit of subsoiling, what have you, and got ourselves sort of squared a little bit. I bought a Missouri strip till drill because I thought that's a good stepping stone. Ran that for 2 years, quickly realised it moves so much soil that we were never going to beat blackgrass with a machine like that. We were just getting such a flush of blackgrass at drilling. It's very horsepower hungry. Great crops, like, don't get me wrong, really good crops behind it, but we were just going to accumulate other problems around the system. So we dropped away from that, and I bought a cross-lot drill. So we ran that for 3 years till 2019, and we downsized the staff at that point, so I was the only full-time employee. I'd always been in contact with George Sly, and I like the look of his drill. I like the way George thinks. He's quite independent and doesn't sort of follow the crowd.
It's quite a big drill. It's quite a lot going on there with the liquid fert. Does she handle it all right?
No problem whatsoever. So we're burning probably about 4 to 4.2 litres of diesel a hectare. Yes, I was a little bit concerned. We have to run with the front weight to balance it up to get the traction down on the front, but no problem whatsoever. Yes, pulls it fine. It rarely breaks a sweat. It sort of ticks along at 1400 revs most of the time.
Was it 215 before you had
We had a 215 before that, and then when I went to change the tractor, I had a bit of a heart attack when I saw the price of a 215, and so we thought we could get away with a smaller tractor, and yeah, we have. Yeah, it's been fine, absolutely fine.
And the fast track never goes on the drill, it's always the
No, it's always on the 185. So the fast track is the spraying tractor, so it would be tricky to run both together sort of thing.
So your history of Horizon,
Yeah.
you met George Sly before I joined. Go on, talk us through it. So you've been involved from the start, basically.
Yeah, so I originally, George came and demoed a Sly Boss drill here, and we quite liked it, and I like George, he's a nice guy, and we ordered a Sly Boss drill, and then George being George delivered a Horizon DSX. So we had number 2 that he built, I think, and it was a steep learning curve for everybody involved, I think would be the way to put it. But we stuck with it, and actually that's where probably we built a good relationship with Horizon. You know, you guys have looked after us, and we've tested some stuff, and given hopefully positive and negative feedback in a constructive manner. And I enjoy having a good relationship with Horizon, I think. Yeah.
And so this is your latest, it's for Gen 3 DSX. Yeah, just talk us through your spec you went for and what you're doing with it.
So we've got a slightly narrower row spacing on this one. Originally it came with, we knew we were going to go down the liquid route, but the pumps were sort of lacking a bit, so we spec'd with a liquid tank on the back, small hoppers on the front. We generally, when we're drilling at the moment, so we've got wheat in both the big hoppers, and we've got companion crop of linseed in the front hopper, and that tends to be how we roll. And liquid on the back. The pumps are obviously folded up in there at the moment, so you can't really see them.
And you've gone with the wider gauge wheels, the 4.5 inches?
I wasn't given a choice.
We are typically speccing them on clays.
Okay.
So where David was on Flint over in Hampshire, we wouldn't put these on because they'd wear more, but also there's a lot engaging with the flint and affecting depth. Whereas on a clay like yours, we do prefer these if it turns a bit wet and sticky.
No, I mean, you can see it's been running. We were drilling till sort of 8 o'clock last night with it, and it's running reasonably clean. But I mean, the upgrades from the original one, we got tungsten on there, which we never had on the very first one. This is the biggest thing, is this spring-loaded design that keeps the pressure constant, the coulter onto the disc constant. That was never a feature before, and that always caused issues. Just not been a problem with this drill at all. Again, the liquid dropping down the back here, just not really causing any issues at all. It just drops in nicely in behind the seed. On our original one, the depth was all controlled off this wheel, I'm right in thinking, on the original one. Then obviously they introduced the airbags on the Gen 2, and then we skipped the Gen 2, went from Gen 1 to Gen 3. Having this independent has made a big difference as well, because we find at times actually you can punch it in a bit too tight. So being able to reduce the pressure on these closing wheels is quite a big advantage to us. And yeah, I mean, it just punches it in a consistent depth. It's easy to pull, it's very simple. What's not to like?
And do you find, we might have spoken about this, in terms of where you're delivering biology, do you have an opinion of it in this furrow wall on the seed? Are you worried about that yet?
It's not something I've worried about particularly. It is what it is, sort of thing. That's the easiest. That's pretty much the only place it can be delivered at the moment. And the pumps are brilliant, like these peristaltic pumps, because you don't really calibrate them. So you calibrate it like you calibrate the seed, and it just slows the motor down or speeds it up, and it's deadly accurate. I have to say, it works. I'm really impressed with it. They've really cracked it.
So your key motivations were resilience.
Yeah, that was resilience. It wasn't financial gain. It wasn't. I suppose indirectly it was financial, because if the farm's unprofitable because the crops are rubbish and we're spending a fortune trying to rectify damage, then that's not very profitable. But ultimately it was to improve soil health, make us more resilient to weather extremes. That was the main driver, I'd say, for us to go down this road.
But if you came along now, and with what you've done over the last 10, 15 years in the changes, if you had another 2012, how would your farm cope with that now?
I feel like our infiltration rates are better. our ground is more resilient. It will take more traffic. It's got greater trafficability because it hasn't really had much of a cultivation over the last few years. So I think we're more resilient in that. You know, in hotter extremes like last summer, we can retain moisture, but equally, you know, we can lose it or it can infiltrate as well. So our organic matter is building, and that's the sort of key, I think, over time. So
Does no-till make you more flexible in the sense that you haven't got brown fields that are turning into
I mean, I always say my commitment to growing a crop is when we put the drill in the field, because up to that point, generally speaking, I mean, unless we sprayed off with Roundup prior to drilling, I've made no commitment to planting a crop, you know, because we generally use home safe seed. I might have that cleaned, and we don't tend to use seed dressings much, so if that worst comes to worst, I can go back on a heap again. But my commitment to growing a crop is when I put the drill in the field, and I'm very comfortable with that. And I think, you know, we make sure our soils are in good order going around the farm, so we've got that ability to just. I haven't sort of committed several £100 a hectare to cultivations. When you're on that treadmill and you've got to keep going. But for us, we're very flexible. We can chop in and out.
I think that's something that's probably very similar amongst other no-till regenerative conservation farmers, that if you go to a conventional farmer, they will have their rotation set out, and they will know 3 years in advance what's going to go in each field. Whereas you talk to a no-till guy and they'll say, well, I don't know, because I don't know what the problems are going to be with that field yet.
I would love that. I always get asked, what's your rotation? I said, don't really know.
With spring cropping, a lot of heavy clay farmers historically used to shy away from spring cropping. How are you finding it in a no-till system?
No problem whatsoever. I find a pound for every time somebody said to me, well, A, you can't spring crop, and B, you can't no-till on a heavy clay farm. We've been doing it for years. It's just not an issue. You just got to be patient. You know, buys the time. I think it was Rob Durst in South America said, yeah, if you're no-tilling, you want to be 2 weeks early in the autumn, 2 weeks later in the spring, and that sort of sticks in my mind a little bit. We wouldn't be the first to be out drilling around here, no way. But we wouldn't be far. You know, we're there and thereabouts. And like I say, I think having the cover crops helps because, you know, the fields can carry the traffic. You know, but I am very conscious that I don't want to go out there when it's really wet, because I'll just do too much damage. So we tend to be a little bit more patient. Wider
conservation on the estate and conservation ag, other than no-till, what else are you doing?
So part of our SFIs, we've got lots of bird mix and NUM3 and legume fallows and bumblebird mixes and things like that. And we've got a lot of woodland. We've got just over 100 hectares of woodland here. So we have sort of made, again, sort of subconsciously, I suppose, there's some wildlife corridors through the farm. We've got nesting kestrels, which we're hopeful they're going to lay eggs anytime now. We've got barn owls nesting. We've got little owls nesting. Tawny owls are plenty as well. So we've got, in that sort of population of birds, we've got plenty, but equally yellowhammers, pipits. So we've got a really good bird population, a grey population, grey partridge as well, brown hares. Simon's sort of keeping a rolling monitor on all of that for us as well, and that's been really useful. The bee numbers as well, we've got a local beekeeper. He's gone from sort of 3 or 4 hives here to 26, I think he's got here now. So we're seeing, we've got measurable sort of baselines and measures on that. We work with Ecometric as well, so monitoring soil carbon. That's an annual monitoring. So we got baselines and benchmarks, and that's, you know, we're watching that every year as well. So plus soil testing as well. We're doing lots of soil tests, conventional soil testing as well. You know, we go around every 5 years and test the farm. We go back to the same place, the same time of year, same levels. We take high horizon, lower horizon soil samples and test those. So we're doing all of that, as well as the sort of usual sort of best tests and stuff like that as well.
So have you seen organic matters rise?
We're seeing P and K levels. K is sort of static, potash is sort of static, phosphate levels are static or going up. We haven't applied phosphate for over 10 years. Organic matter is certainly on loss in ignition. We're seeing probably we are seeing increases every year. So every 5 years when we do the soil monitoring round, we are seeing it. It's going up ever so slowly. My worry is that will top out at some point. We're on a heavy clay soil. We're not going to hit 10%. It's going to hit somewhere. But the soil organic carbon, which is measured with DMAS, with ecometric, we're accumulating carbon in the soil every year, basically, with that. The worst we've seen is a tiny positive result of sort of 100 tonnes of carbon. But the biggest results we're seeing is when we've had good years, good growing years, growing big crops, and we're seeing sort of maybe 6,000-7,000 tonnes of carbon sequestered. So, yeah.
And recently planted some trees for agroforestry.
Yeah, we've always planted lots of trees. In my time here, we've probably planted in excess of 100,000 trees, but we've also taken out quite a few ash trees as well. So it's not all just fresh 100,000 extra trees on the farm.
And with regards to no-till and the transition you've been on over the last 10, 15 years, you probably, like most no-tillers, learned as you've gone along. If you were starting again, if you moved to a completely, blank slate again?
I don't know if I'd change a lot, actually. I think the transition was good with strip till. So I always say, people have asked me about this, and I always think actually it's a good stepping stone across, because I don't think going cold turkey, unless everything is perfect, you're probably more likely to have some failures. So,
especially on this sort of soil.
Yeah, it's not very forgiving in that respect. Don't know if I'd change anything particularly.
Drainage, have you had to do a lot?
Yeah, I mean, you still got to focus on drainage. We still do a bit of mould ploughing. We've actually invested in drainage on probably 50 hectares in the last couple of years. So we've added drains into some fields and re-drained complete fields in places. I think, you can't ignore that either. So although we've got better infiltration, it still needs a bit of help. It's money well spent in drainage, I think, actually.
And cover cropping, you're using cover crops quite heavily?
Yeah, I have been since 2013 really. That's when we started using those to try and help, get the soil back in a bit of order again. So we started with, cover crops weren't much of a thing actually back then. Hard to believe, it's only sort of 13 years ago, but sourcing cover crops, if you go to seed merchants and say, I want a blend of this or what, well, we can get you the straight stuff. And it was sort of mustard based and very simple, cheap. But I sort of realised over time actually that if you treat them more like a proper crop and buy decent blend with decent varieties, not just the sweepings out of a bin, actually if you invest in them a little bit, you get more out. The more you put into it, the more you get out. It's like anything in life, I suppose. So we don't blow the bank or anything on, but I've got a few mixtures that we use in different scenarios and depending on what the situation is.
And again, experiences of managing cover crops on heavy wet clay, how have you found that?
So this year we've used sheep over winter. They've thinned it all out, and again my sort of over winter cover crop mix, if you like, always very conscious of what we put in that to make it will gradually die back. So you get sort of your buckwheat flies out the blocks, all show and no go. First sort of 3 degrees or lower and it's gone. It just disappears, and then we've got Phacelia, linseed, those sort of things in there. But they tend to sort of filter out over the winter as you get a bit of frost and stuff. Like we get particularly cold winters anymore. But we've had sheep over all our cover crops this spring or winter. They're still here now actually on some places. So they thinned it all out and then spray off and drill. So I think we've got hopefully we're building a good long-term relationship with the grazier locally to here. He seems to manage his sheep really well. He's been pretty good. He's not let them overgraze it. And been respectful about sort of moving them on when they need moving on. So yeah, it's worked really well. I hope that will continue. He wants it to continue and I want it to continue, so we'll hopefully make that work. So that's a good way of managing cover crops. And then in the autumn, I mean, it's just brilliant, isn't it? Like you're just drilling on that mat of green, the drill runs clean, it's a piece of cake, We're making, hopefully, reasonably biologically active compost. We're making an extract out of that. With a compost extract, and we're putting that down with the drill. So having had chats with George Sly, they were very keen. I knew he was developing peristaltic pumps, so we that all coincided just at the night time for us to to be the guinea pigs and try one of the first peristaltic pumps that he built, and we're on to the 3rd version now, and that's to be fair, version 2 was fantastic, worked really well, couldn't fault it, and now version 3 hopefully will be even better again. So.
And you mentioned earlier premium cropping. I stopped at Tesco on the way here and bought some wild farm bread, but there'll be viewers from all around the world watching this. Talk us through what you're doing with wild farmed and what that means for inputs and premiums.
So Wild Farm sort of appeared, it was 3 guys set it up. I don't know how long they've been going, quite a few years now. It was Ed Lees, George Lyman, and Andy Cato that were the sort of founders, if you like, and got the funding together and got going. Basically because Andy realised that food systems were broken, ultra-processed food probably wasn't a good thing to be feeding everybody, and was looking at alternative ways and basically trying to break into the mainstream. And I'd sort of call them fairly disruptive in that they're trying to break into like mainstream supply markets. The basic premise is that you're increasing biodiversity on the farm at the same time as growing food is the basic premise of it. So we grow for them, we grow on contract for them, we have quality criteria to meet, and we've also got growing protocols that we have to adhere to. They kind of fit how I farm really well, and we spoke for a year or 2 before we actually signed the contracts and went forward. So we're doing our 2nd year of cropping for them, but I like how they operate. I like how they look after their growers. I've got a superb working relationship with them, and they've got their own bakery in London, not where they're producing these loaves for Tesco, but they're producing some absolute quality products, 2,000 products a day. I've visited the bakery. I'm quite good friends now with the guy who runs the bakery, Ludo. It's just a really nice company to work with, very supportive and very proactive, and like I say, suits the way we farm. So, and they pay. The only contract I grow on, whether we agree the price before I put the seed in the ground. So, they're taking a chunk of the risk, I suppose, out of that. So I know the price. I'm not just, other companies will tell me the premium that they'll pay, but they won't tell you the actual price. They tell you the actual price they're going to pay before you pay. So.
And in field, what's it meaning for inputs?
Basically, there's no insecticides, no fungicides, limited use of herbicides. We have to have in-field pollination strips or bi-cropping. They want us to integrate livestock into our rotation as well. And fertiliser is not limited, but it's only a maximum of 40 kilos per dose. And the sort of totals of nitrogen that we put on is not dictated, but guided by SAP testing as well. So as to what nutrients we put on and how much we put on. They obviously want us to achieve the correct proteins and stuff, and we need a certain amount of nitrogen on the crop to get that. But what they don't want us to do is put too much on in one go and drive disease in the plant, and then suddenly you're needing fungicides and stuff. So it's a little an often approach in terms of fertiliser, but nothing too onerous particularly.
Should we get in a truck and go and have a look at some fields? And
Can do, yeah.
Can I have a look around?
Yeah. Get out in the cold.